What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this. Beautiful, delicious, smoky, juicy, medium rare, amazing herb crusted rack of lamb with the lamb sauce. Just look at it, folks. Camel up. This is some meat. Pat it dry. And what I've got here is an absolutely beautiful rack of lamb, one of my favorite cuts. Picked this up at Costco. The bones are indeed French, and this really is one of my favorite cuts. There is rarely a time where I don't have at least one of these in my freezer here or down at the Chud shop because we cook these up all the time. It's a really quick and easy cook, and there's many different ways you can prepare it, and the meat is just so tender and so tasty. And I've fed this to a lot of people that say they don't like lamb or they've never had it before, and everybody seems to love it. It really doesn't have a lot of that gamey taste that you associate with lamb. And you get these cute little steaks on a bone. You can cut them up into lollipops or cook it like a whole bone and roast like we're gonna do today. Pretty inexpensive and pretty easy to find, especially if you've got a Costco nearby. But taking a look at it, this is a pretty clean looking one. All the bones are looking nice and clean because it is already Frenched. If you wanted to get real particular, you could get in there and get these extremely clean, but I'm not really too worried about it. Underside looking good as well, nothing weird hanging off. I guess there is a little bit weird hanging off. We can trim that down. But really not much to worry about on the backside. And if you look at it, it's a beautiful looking steak. Look at the marbling on that. That is fantastic. Looks like a combination of beef and pork. And like I said, there are many different ways to prepare this. You could take all of this meat off and end up with just the eye there, little lollipop. I see that done at restaurants a lot. Not my favorite way to do it because there's a lot of good meat on here still. And if you go for just the loin, it's really one bite per. But I am gonna take this fat cap down a little bit. It's looking pretty thick up top. We can get this down a little bit. And you'll kind of see a separation where the bones end and the loin part begins, which is what I'm usually looking for. You start to see it forming right there. You can see it kind of wants to peel up and separate naturally. Kind of like a brisket or anything else. You know, we want some fat, but not too much fat. And once you get that fat level down to where you like it, we can also see that there's a lot of silver skin on this meat itself. You could leave that on if you wanted to. It's kind of the beauty of these things. You can pull them right out of the package and throw them on the cooker, or you can clean them up nicely like we're gonna do today. Just because we're here, might as well put a little more effort into it. And sometimes a lot like a beef tenderloin, you'll get this side chain on there. It looks like I just already went through the silver skin, but in fact that is a different muscle. And you could leave it on, but it might cook up weird and fall off during the cook. So we're gonna go ahead and take that down. You see it just kind of wants to peel away. Zip that off. Beautiful piece of meat. Save that for later. And now you can really see all the silver skin on there. So we're gonna go ahead and get right on under that. And just like that, all cleaned up, looking absolutely beautiful. Very happy with how that came out. Still a lot of meat on there and not too much fat, but we got plenty on there for extra flavor. So now all we gotta do is get this thing seasoned up. And today my rub of choice is some Chuds BBQ poultry rub. This is one of my favorite all-purpose rubs we've got on our website. It's great on poultry, hence the name, but it's also great on pretty much everything, especially lamb, because it's got some really nice savory notes in there, but it's also got a brightness and some herbs in there, which pairs very well with the lamb meat, but you can use whatever rub you like. We're gonna start by seasoning the backside a little bit. Nice healthy dusting. Flip that over, and we'll get a nice even coating all over the top. And of course, we're not gonna forget the sides. Makes for a very flavorful bite of these end cuts. Oh, love the color. Pat that in. Dip, dip, dip. And just like that, beautifully rubbed down. And now I'm gonna park this in the fridge for a little bit just to let that rub kind of adhere, let the salt penetrate the meat a little bit, and start building those layers of flavor. Brad from the future here, just wanted to pop in to give a quick shout out to all my Australian viewers. I know there's usually a few of you guys in here whenever I drop a lamb video, which I greatly appreciate because the world needs to like lamb more. But in good news, we have finally found a store in Australia to carry some of our products. So if you've ever wanted to try our core line of rubs, you can now go over to the Q Club in Melbourne and pick these up for yourself. So again, big shout out to the Q Club. Thank you for bringing us on. And I highly recommend it because it's a whole lot cheaper than having us ship them to you straight from Texas, I'll tell you that much. And hopefully if we can sell enough of this stuff, we can get some more products down there. So be sure to check out the Q Club over in Melbourne. Appreciate you. And while we wait, let's go ahead and get our crust made up. Starting by going into the food processor with some panko breadcrumbs, some microplaned Parmigiano Reggiano, in some fresh parsley, some fresh basil, the zest of 1 lemon, some freshly cracked black pepper, and we'll go in with some of our rub as well. And we'll pulse that together. Oh my God, that smells so good. So lemony, so fresh from that basil. And it's green. Pour that onto a sheet tray and set this aside until we need it. And with our rack rubbed down and our herb crust at the ready, all we gotta do now is fire up the pit. Boop. got the old pellet grill fired up in grill formation, meaning I moved that little trap door, giving us full access to the burn pot. I also threw the thick grill grates in there, which are currently getting nice and toasty. Per usual, I'm rocking some Smokin pecan shell pellets, and if you've been watching this pellet grill series for any length of time, you know that this is in fact my pellet of choice. Love these things. Made out of 100% pecan shells, nice and smoky, burn nice and hot. I have a link in the description box if you want to check these out for yourself and save a little money. The grill is currently set to 400 degrees, which should be nice and toasty, and once it heats up for a little bit, we'll grab our rack of lamb and get a really good sear on that, because we need to sear it first, because you can't really get a good sear through a layer of cheese and breadcrumbs. So adding that Maillard reaction and that nice flavor at this stage is very important, although not entirely necessary. I suppose you could just throw the breadcrumbs on it and throw it in and smoke it away, but it won't be as good. So let's go ahead and sear that off real quick. Nice and toasty over here. Woo! Oh, it's hot out here. Gonna hit this with a little bit of spray oil. Oh my God, that's really hot. That might be too hot. Might kick that down at 350. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Still nice and toasty. And now we're gonna get a good sear on this rack, starting out meat side down. Ooh, love that sound. Again, we're not really trying to do any cooking at this stage, just trying to build a crust, get a sear, and get a little extra wood flavor on there. Kind of an awkward shaped piece, which is why I'm kind of rocking it back and forth here with some even pressure. This is also a really good time to put some pressure on that fat cap to give that a good head start in the rendering department. Making sure to sear all sides. We'll flip this over, get some color on that underside as well. Edges too, folks. Liking that color though. Nothing's too dark. Got a nice crust going already. And after getting some lovely color on there, off this comes. And fresh off the grill, we're gonna hit this with some Dijon mustard, which is gonna be our little binding agent for our herb crust. We're just gonna paint this on. The residual heat from the roast itself will kind of melt this in, and it's gonna taste so good. Also, Dijon and lamb is a really winning combo, in my opinion, in general. And I read somewhere once that mustard kind of helps with that gamey flavor if you really don't like it. The antioxidant properties of mustard will help kind of mask it, or something like that. I should probably look into that. Nice coating all over, yet again for the third time. We're not gonna forget the sides. Kind of like a Wellington. Not too concerned about the underside as far as crust goes. I think we're gonna primarily focus on the top. But then again, you can fully encrust this thing if you like. And once fully mustarded, now it's time for the crustification process. And simply enough, in we go. Nice even pressure all over. And again, this thing is still raw inside. We're just trying to add some extra flavor with that sear. On second thought, I am going to do this back part. Probably not the bones or the membrane, but backside of the meat, thought I got that. Missed it! And then we'll do the top as well. Don't forget the sides. What is that, the fourth time? And we really just kind of want to pack as much on there that we can. This is all really good flavor, especially in the summertime, that basil. Oh, it smells so good. And there we have it, a beautifully herb crusted rack of lamb. We're gonna let that hang out for a minute. Well, we go ahead and try and get this thing set back up for smoking. Move that guy over. Got the old baffle plate put back in. Beautiful. Got this pit set back up for smoking, holding right around 350, 375. I'm gonna pop this top rack back in. And on we go with our lovely rack of lamb. Gonna go right in the middle, aiming the bones toward the fire pot. And now we're just gonna get some more smoke flavor on there, let that crust really cook on, and bring it up to an internal temp of about 130, 135. Anywhere in the medium to medium rare range is usually what I like on my lamb, which would probably only take about 30 minutes or so. And while we wait for that rack of lamb to come up to temp, let's go ahead and get our lamb sauce knocked out. And there are many styles of sauce you could use with lamb, but today we're gonna go for kind of a classic wine reduction, like a steakhouse style sauce, which starts out with a squeeze of some olive oil, followed by our freshly diced up shallots, or is it shallot? And get that cooking down and softening up a little bit. Going with a pinch of salt and a little black pepper. Why not? And this is only gonna cook for a minute or so before going in with our garlic. And get that cooking down as well. And once everything is cooked down nicely and smelling really good, we'll go in with some red wine. Any red wine will work. This one seemed appropriate. And we're just gonna deglaze the bottom of the pot and let this reduce down by a good amount, probably a good couple minutes. And once that has reduced down almost all the way, looking good, but still nothing has burned, in we go with another 2 cups of some homemade smoky gelatinous beef stock. You could also use demi-glace at this point and save yourself some time. And get that all mixed in, cleaning the sides of the pot. Bring that up to a simmer as well. And at this point, we're gonna go in with our final ingredients, including some balsamic vinegar, a sprig of rosemary, and a few sprigs of thyme. Get that all mixed up, and now we're gonna reduce this for probably another 10 minutes or so. And once all that beef stock has reduced down by pretty much half, if not even more so, and we've got that beautiful whong. Oh my God, that's so good. We can go ahead and pull out this rosemary and thyme just to make life a little bit easier. They've given us all the flavor they need, or should I say we need. And now we're gonna mount some cold butter in there. Just a little bit at a time, kind of melting that in nice and slowly for the old monte beurre. Add a little bit more body, some richness, and of course, some more wonderful flavor. And once all that butter disappears, we'll go in with a little bit more. Oops. And once all your butter is incorporated, we can send this through a fine mesh strainer to take out any of the particulates, or you could just leave it chunky if you like. Making sure to press out all of that beautiful goodness. Give this one final taste and adjust for salt, and our beautiful lamb sauce is done. And just like that, maybe 20-25 minutes later, off the pit this thing comes. And I will say I'm pretty sure I overcooked this, because like 5 minutes ago it was reading 119 and now it's reading like 132, so I guess we'll have to see what happens. But crust cooked on nicely, definitely fully adhered, so we're gonna pull this off and let it rest. And after resting down, let's go ahead and slice into this thing and see how it came out. Starting to going right in between the bones. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Take a look at the end cut, and ooh, yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Lovely texture on top. Definitely pushing medium on the inside, but I'm okay with that, honestly, with lamb. Second one in. Oh, yeah. Look at that, nice and juicy. It's actually a pretty good cook on that. Get another one out of here, shall we? Oh my God, this is cutting like a dream. Sometimes I struggle by hitting bones and whatnot. And there it is in all its glory, folks. A beautiful herb crusted, smoked, seared, juicy looking rack of lamb with our lovely lamb sauce. Let's go ahead and dive in and see how these came out. I am super pumped about this one, folks. I haven't had a good rack of lamb in at least a week, but last time I made it, this is what I made. And it was super fantastic, so let's go for it. It's unbelievably good. Just so impossibly tender and so meaty. So much fun to eat too. It's fatty, it's juicy, it's cooked well, it's tender. And because it's so tender and it's so soft, that added crunch from all the panko on top is a really welcome addition, you know? Makes for a much more interesting bite. And not to mention, it's got Parmesan cheese in there and the herbs. It's just, I gotta go for more. That is a fantastic bite of food right there. Then you got that fat part right on top of the rib. Again, a lot of chefs will trim that off, but that's one of my favorite bites. So juicy. It's the experience of eating ribs with the flavor and texture of eating a really good ribeye steak. I mean, what is not to like here, folks? I'm gonna eat all of this. I don't care who knows it. It's also just so pretty, you know? It's kind of Christmassy with that red and green vibe going on, and just look at the quality of that meat, you know? Fatty, juicy, tender. I'm gonna stop doing that move now, but this is a winner, folks. Perfectly seasoned too. I was a little concerned about that with not adding much salt to the breadcrumb, but I guess it is full of Parmesan cheese, so that'll help you out there. But salty, definite smoke flavor on there, a little wood-fired sear, never hurt anybody. Fat is well rendered. Also super easy cook too. Perfect for a weeknight meal, you know? Just sear it off and cook it for 20 minutes, please. So savory, yet fresh. That's the nice part about having the herbs in there. Like, they're really not jumping out as much as you may think, judging by the color, but that little background basil note is perfect for a summertime grilling session, but I don't even think I'd be able to pick it out if you asked me to, because the lamb is just so flavorful, and that rub. I'm at a loss here, folks. Not gonna lie, I just polished off 2 of those and I completely forgot about the sauce. I don't know what Gordon Ramsay's yelling about all the time. This doesn't even need a sauce, it's so good. But it is a really good sauce, so let's give that a little dip, shall we? Ooh, that looks good. I wanna eat it. Good God. You know, I made plenty of wine reduction steak sauces much like this one on the channel before, but I've never done it with the addition of balsamic vinegar, and that is a welcome addition, you know, because it's a really rich, incredibly powerful, flavorful sauce. Nice and thick too, and all that butter in there as well. But with the addition of the balsamic in there, it kind of brightens it up a little bit and also adds a bit more complexity. Very tasty stuff. Oh, I love the texture on that. It clings. Okay, lamb sauce for the win. It just elevates it so much more. Makes you feel fancy. Definitely making this one again. Now, before I eat all of these off camera, which I'm getting really close because legitimately there are only 2 left, I think it is time for the official taste test. The carnage. I'm gonna finish these though. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make an absolutely fantastic, smoky, herb-crusted rack of lamb on the pellet grill. I highly recommend giving this one a try. I know I keep saying it, but this really is one of my favorite things to cook because there's so many different ways to go about doing it, you know? You could just throw it on the grill, hot and fast. You could smoke it low and slow, kind of like a prime rib, or you could do this herb-crusted method, which I highly recommend. It just adds so much more texture and flavor, and it is most certainly something I'm gonna be making again very soon. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Team Chud members over at teamchud.com. Thank you for supporting this channel and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.